Anjanachalakaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so today we shall be starting from text 34. Etadhi atura chittanam matra sparshe chayamuhu bhavasindhu plavo drishyo haricharyanuvarnanam. It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of senses with their objects can cross the ocean of Nisan on a most suitable boat, the constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. So here we get a opinion of Narada Muni. In order to cross over the ocean of this Bhavasagar, the material existence, where everyone is more or less, when I say more or less means somebody has little more, somebody a little less, but everybody is filled with more or less some anxieties, some concerns. Somebody may have, a happy family life, but may not have money, always struggling and aspiring to get money. Somebody may have money, but may not have happy family life or happy situation in family life. Somebody may have a lot of money, but doesn't have good health, so can't even, eat sumptuously, has to survive on medicines. And somebody who has good health may not have enough to eat. In this way, no one in this world can actually claim that he has everything in perfect, desirable quantity and has no anxieties or concerns. Some moments in life it may happen that person may feel like that I don't have any cares or concerns. But most of the part of life, everyone in this world has a lot of anxieties and concerns. And especially the biggest concern everyone in this world has, as Narada Muni explains here, is the desire for contact between the senses with their sense objects. Everyone in this world is very much anxious to satisfy the senses. For example, you can say everyone wants to use the eyes for seeing something beautiful, very much anxious to look at something beautiful. The tongue is always anxious to, to be always tasting or relishing some palatable foods. And similarly, genitals, they're always eager to, satisfy their, contact with opposite sex. Ears are always eager to hear something that is very, pleasing to the ears. So in this way, everyone in this world is more or less anxious for sense enjoyment, eager for having senses come in contact with sense objects. And no one can claim in this world that he or she is free from that anxiety. No. So here I'll just share the screen quickly. So the symptoms of a living entity, that he cannot remain silent even for a moment. He must be doing something, thinking of something or talking about something. This is a symptom of life. The stone, a dead stone, cannot have any aspirations. Human beings, or not only human, in fact, every living entity has aspirations, as Narmani explains here, desiring to have senses come in contact with sense objects. This is the aspiration of every living entity, in every species of life. I remember many years ago, His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj, he was getting treatment, the Panchakarma treatment from one of the Ayurvedic doctor in Mumbai. So that time I was accompanying Maharaj every day to clinic. We used to leave early in the morning, around, not early, little late in the morning, around 10:30 we used to leave to reach the clinic around noon time. So from 12 to 2, generally Maharaj used to have, some treatment. So the doctor actually told Maharaj that, Ayurvedic doctor told Maharaj that he had a lot of worms in the stomach. We have stool worms in the stomach, and that really causes a lot of stomach problems. So he was treating Maharaj for the worms. So there was one doctor from Bhaktivedanta Hospital. So Maharaj asked him that, tomorrow when we go to clinic, can you accompany us? And I want to know a little bit about these worms. So this doctor, he brought a book with him. He was a doctor, proper doctor. So he brought some medical books, on the worms, stomach worms. So he was showing the pictures to Maharaj and explaining descriptions, and I was sitting behind. Actually, I was sitting in front and they were sitting behind. Both of them, Maharaj and this doctor, was sitting behind. I was sitting in front, uh, the passenger seat. So I was turning behind and seeing as the doctor was showing the pictures and explaining to Maharaj. Somebody else was driving, and so I was looking behind, and Maharaj was looking very carefully at the pictures of the worms. So Maharaj asked the doctor, how do you differentiate which is male and which is female worm? So the doctor showed, the male worm was like a straight, worm, but female worm was like, thin or narrow at the center. It was straight but thin or narrow at the center. So Maharaj, started jokingly saying that, oh, so this male worm is attracted to the slender west female worm, and therefore there is so much population in my stomach. So it was so wonderful to hear, even though it was, a simple statement Maharaj made, but that was indicating what we are discussing, or Narmani is actually explaining here. In every species of life, living entities are always eager to have the contact of their senses with the sense objects. So even in the birds species, even in the worms species, insects, demigods or demons, every living entity is very much eager to satisfy the senses. So similarly, hearing, but materialistic men think and discuss about subjects which satisfy their senses. These things are exercised under the influence of illusory energy or Maya Shakti of the Lord. How does it is exercised by the Maya Shakti? Because living entity by nature is pure, is Satchid Ananda. But because of the illusion caused by this illusory energy in the form of false ego, the living entity identifies itself with this body. So it is purely because of this illusory energies, inflicting this false ego upon the living entity, by dint of which the living entity identifies itself with this body. It starts thinking this body is actually me. And when this body is destroyed, everything is finished. So living entity becomes so foolish, it starts identifying itself with the body. And therefore, the sensation in the body through the five knowledge acquiring senses becomes a concept of happiness for the living entity. Now just imagine any form of enjoyment. Like somebody may come and praise me. Oh, you are, uh, you know, so nice person. You are such a nice person. Or somebody may praise, the opposite sex. Oh, you are such a beautiful lady. No. And, there's no one in comparison to you. You are fit to be Miss, World or Miss America. So what is happening is some sound vibration is entering into the ears of the person. And somebody is saying, oh, you are such a nice person. Oh, you look so handsome. What is happening is just some sound vibration is entering into the ears. And living entity foolishly thinks, oh, this sound vibration is source of happiness. Or similarly, somebody condemns me. You're such an ugly looking person. Just get lost. I do not even see your face. Hearing these words, the soul is foolishly thinking, oh, this sound vibration is so awful. This is such a source of misery. But when somebody is praising me or somebody despising me, in either case, I as a spirit soul is least affected by any of that. No transformation is happening in the soul. Only because of false ego, the living entity is thinking this is misery or this is happiness for me. Similarly, take for example, some delicious foodstuffs coming in contact with my tongue, especially when I'm hungry, and somebody brings a nice halwa cooked in pure ghee, with a lot of dry fruits, brings to me and keeps in front of me. Here, you eat this. So when I take the spoonful of halwa and put on my tongue, I'm thinking, wow, this is so delicious. But what exactly is happening is some matter in the form of halwa. What is halwa? Halwa is nothing but the wheat which is crushed, very finely crushed as semolina. It's cooked in ghee. And what is ghee? Ghee is nothing but another transformation of the matter. The water and earth is transformed into ghee. So the semolina cooked in the ghee and mixed with sugar syrup. And what is again sugar? Sugar is nothing but extract of juice from the sugarcane juice, condensed in the form of crystals. So I'm simply taking earth, water, fire, air, and ether, these five ingredients, shaped and in a different way, and cooked together, mixed together in the form of halwa. And when that earth, water, fire, air, ether in the form of halwa is touching this tongue, which is nothing but again transformation of earth, water, fire, air, ether. The soul foolishly thinks, this is so pleasing, this is so delicious, this is happiness. So, this concept of happiness for the soul is also actually nothing but impelled by this illusory energy. And therefore, the living entity becomes filled with anxiety. I want to eat something nice. I want to hear something pleasing. I want to see something that is very satisfying to my eyes. I want to smell something that is very nice and fragrant. I want to touch something that gives me nice sensation. In this way, living entity becomes filled with anxiety for sense enjoyment. So, and Prabhupada says, the frustration is resulting from when the living entity is thinking something will give me pleasure or happiness, whereas the thing is not really meant for his happiness. Srimad Bhagavatam actually beautifully explains in the 11th canto, it's explained that everyone in this world, in every species of life, works very hard for happiness. Everyone. You ask anyone around you, in your family, in your friend circle, in your social circle, anywhere you ask anyone, um, do you uh, need happy? Are you looking for happiness? Say, yes, I'm looking for happiness. Do you want distress or unhappiness? No, I don't want distress or unhappiness. So, in this way, everyone is simply eager for happiness. But what everyone gets in this world is opposite to happiness. So, in this way, every living entity is actually filled with anxiety, but because they're seeking happiness in the objects which are not meant to give them happiness, the net result is they get frustration. Everyone is looking for happiness, but everyone gets unhappiness or distress. And every endeavor is like that. I may I may work very hard. Once Radhamaj was giving an example that just imagine, even if you are given the whole world, say for example, I'm living in this home, in this ridge, there are many homes. Somebody gives me this whole community, all the homes and all the paraphernalia in those homes, everything is given to me alone. But condition is I have to live alone. All the necessities of life, food, you know, drinks, everything is provided to me in ample quantity. But I have to live alone. Nobody will be visible. No birds, no insects, nothing, no human beings. I will have to live alone. That'll drive a person nuts or crazy. So, in this way, uh, everyone looking for happiness, but nobody gets really happiness. So, Narmani, by his personal experience, he says that satisfaction for which every living entity is working very hard for sense enjoyment can be obtained by chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord. Simply by kirtanam, one can uh, experience the real happiness. The point is that the subject matter only should be changed. We don't have to change our situations in life. We need to only change the subject matter. As Srimad Bhagavatam says, Nranam santi sahasrasam apashyatam atmatattvam griheshu grihmedina. In this world, people have hundreds and thousands of subject matters to hear. Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nranam santi sahasrasam. People have thousands and thousands of subject matters to hear. But they are not interested in apashyatam atma tattvam. They are least interested in atma tattvam. Why? Because the atma tattva is not very attractive to the conditioned souls. The conditioned soul is thinking sense enjoyment will give me happiness. And therefore, apashyatam atma tattva griheshu grihamedhina. The word which is used is grihamedhi. Grihamedhi means a person who is seeking happiness or whose whole life is centered around. Medhi means center around griha. So such people, they cannot really have interest in the subject matter of Krishna consciousness. But actually speaking, in order to be happy, we have to continue hearing, as we are hearing now also. In a conditioned state, a living entity continues to hear so many subject matters. Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching. So in this way, everyone in this world is engaged in different kinds of activities, but we need to only change the subject matter. Subject matter is Krishna, or service to Krishna is the center. Then the living entity can attain actually real happiness. No one can check the activities of mind, like thinking or feeling, willing. These are the actions of the mind. Mind always is thinking about something. Mind is feeling something or aspiring for something or hankering for something. All these are nothing but functions of the mind. So nobody can stop the activity of the mind. But one can change the subject matter of the thinking, feeling, and willing. That means what I am contemplating now in the mind needs to be replaced with the subject matter of Krishna. Thinking about Krishna, feeling or willing for serving Krishna. Say, somebody is very much fond of creating an empire. I want to create, the whole city. Yeah, you may be very expert at planning and creating the whole city, but do it for Krishna. Then that will bring real satisfaction. Otherwise, it will not bring any satisfaction. Now, instead of, one second. So, instead of relishing the activities of the sense enjoyment, all one needs to do is just engage in devotional activities or devotional service of the Lord. Though those activities may not be very attractive in the beginning, but simply by engaging in devotional service of the Lord, one will be actually able to rise above the temptation and attraction or the sense enjoyment. So one can cross the ocean of missiles simply by hearing and chanting Krishna's glories. Lord Brahma also says in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, he says, Sthane sthita shuti gatam tanuan manobhi. That you don't have to change the situation of life. Sthane sthita. Wherever you are, remain in that position only. But Shruti Gatam, hear about the Supreme Lord. And that can actually give satisfaction to the living entity. So Supreme Lord, he actually descends to this world by his causeless mercy, and manifests so many activities. And his activities appear to be like ordinary living entities' activities. Just like, recently we celebrated Janmashtami. We were discussing Krishna's pastime during Janmashtami. So, you see, Krishna's pastimes, they resemble so much like the activities of an ordinary human being. Like in this world, you see, a person is afraid of someone and something. Krishna, similarly, apparently was afraid of Kamsa. And therefore he told Vasudev, take me out from here. Take me to Gokul. So it's appearing to be that he's afraid of Kamsa just because he's born a newborn child. No. Krishna was least afraid of Kamsa. But yet, he's performing the pastime as though he's afraid and he's running away. Similarly, he defeated Jarasandha. 17 times he defeated Jarasandha. When 18th time Jarasandha came, Krishna did not fight with him, but acted like an ordinary human being and ran away from the battlefield. But Krishna's running away from the battlefield is not like an ordinary person's running away from the battlefield. If somebody runs away from the battlefield, he's not very much glorified. In fact, even his family members will not welcome him. There's an example in the history, in Rajasthan, there used to be Rajput kings. So one Rajput king, he went to fight. There was actually a prince. The father died, the king died in the battlefield. So the prince, he went. He was just recently married and he went to the battlefield. But being overpowered by the enemies, he became very much scared. And he ran back to his, family. So when he came to the palace door, his mother refused to open the door. His mother, and I think his wife also, they both refused to open the door. The mother said, my son will never ever run away from the battlefield. He'll never show his back to the enemies. He said, Mother, but I'm your son. I will die on the battlefield. She said, it's better you die. So he was not welcomed by his own family. His family anticipated it's better that the person dies on the battlefield. So running away from the battlefield is a very shameful act. But Krishna is worshipped. He's worshipped as Ranshore Rai. So Krishna's activities are actually extraordinary. No matter what he does, he steals, he is worshipped as Makhanchor. He's worshipped for stealing the garments of the gopis. If he runs away from the battlefield, he's worshipped as a Ranchor. So in this way, Krishna performs whatever activity appearing to be like ordinary human being. their extraordinary activities. So here we are reading in today's session that Krishna, whatever he does simply for attracting the conditioned soul, so that their attention will be on the Supreme Lord. So in this way, slowly and gradually, the conditioned soul will be purified and again revive their Krishna consciousness, their attraction towards Krishna. So Narmani is sharing this wisdom or his knowledge with his own experience to uh, to Srila Vyasdev for the benefit of the human society. So this is actually the sum and substance of this 34th verse. We will discuss text 35 till the end of the chapter next week.